for the final time this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Rainbow Six Major from Sweden, Gävle specifically. We are getting ready to jump into our final match of the day here on the Bravo stream. And it's one that initially probably wasn't going to be on everyone's radar, but after the results from earlier today, it's a very, very different case. It's going to be DWG KIA going up against FURIA. Let's start talking about this matchup. It's starting out by talking about the upsets these two teams pulled off earlier.
I want to talk about first our names. Is it Desert Blue? Is it Blue Chew? Or where are we going?
Kind of like Blue Chew. It sounds like a Pokemon.
Blue Chew does sound like a Pokemon.
Yeah.
It actually is where Desert Chew comes from.
That would make sense.
I used to be a big fan of Pokemon Yellow when I was younger. Des and Pikachu, the two together, it works out wonderfully. Let's talk about the two teams, as you mentioned, though. First up foremost is FURIA, a team that, looking back at how they played against SSG earlier on, we touched on it then. They played SSG twice, once at Mexico, once here, beat them 8-7 both times. They are a super exciting team to watch. In Fantasy, you cannot ignore the kind of numbers this guy's putting on the board. 17-11 on Cafe earlier on. Rare getting up there as well, to be fair, and even with Fultz and Hot and Cold doing great work on the other side, no one could compare to Fantasy, unfortunately. Just dragged a couple of rounds through, got himself an ace, a 4K, you name it. Dude's a miracle worker.
And you look back at their performance in Mexico, there was moments for a lot of the other individual members on FURIA as well. Very much kind of hit or miss in some matches there, but I think that every single member of that team in some aspect has that potential to frag out, which is very, very dangerous, but it is one of the trademarks of Latin America. They always seem to kind of have that among all 5 players in their pocket. Meanwhile, on the other side of the coin, for DWG KIA, things were dominant for them as they took a 7-2 victory, remember, he serves me correctly, versus Empire earlier, thrashing them inside of that matchup. 7-3, excuse me. Yeah, 7-3 was the scoreline. It's one extra round there for Empire, but either way, still just as dominant of a scoreline in my opinion, considering what everybody thought about that match going into it.
It's interesting because naturally in the regular season, we cast both of these teams, right? I cover DWG KIA weekly, I cover Empire weekly. And to hear those two teams coming together and Empire not coming away the winner was a bit of a shock, to be completely honest with you. You know, Yas, even coming into this competition, several have been saying, you know, it's a player that no one's really looking at all that much, but the consistency is what makes him special. Sure, he can frag out, he can perform well like everyone else, but it's the consistency that is built behind him. And personally, felt he was a little bit slept on back at Mexico. Rin naturally took the spotlight, popping up, dropping like 15 plus kills a map, absolutely fragging out. All the eyes were on Rin. But for me, it's Yas that you are going to see in and out of stages, in and out of majors, putting on absolute shows. And I'm really excited to see how Yas steps up here in this fixture against FURIA.
Yeah, Rin brought that real wild style to the table back in Mexico, but unfortunately hasn't been able to translate that as much yet here at this land. It seems teams have very much caught on to that and has been restricting him quite heavily. As the first map played, unfortunately, he was barely on the board to begin with there. Bottom of the team overall in terms of impact on a very frag-heavy role set as well in terms of operators being picked inside of that map. Yes. So definitely going to look for some improvements there. But still, even despite that, managed to pick up the 7-3 victory. So it's not a major issue at this point here for the roster.
It's more the expectation that Rin is going to pop up in a big game. That seems to be where he really steps up and makes it count the most. We've seen him go to...
Just pointed at it. I was like, it's crazy.
I mean, Rin's very, he's crazy. He's crazy guy. Can be at the best of times. But for Rin, again, quiet at the minute. Stage wasn't necessarily the best that we've seen out of him. Mexico, a real strong performer. Stage 2, real strong performer. It's kind of the natural rip and tide that you see coming of, or sort of the ebb and flow that you see coming of a lot of players professionally. I'll always kind of hark back towards the Yas because I know that consistency is there. And again, what makes this team so terrifying.
Now, another big question for this series is where the map is going to go. So far, this tournament has been so filled with bank play across the board for the most part. We've had a couple other maps sneak their way in, like Cafe and Chalet quite often, but this time we're going to be adding a new map to the pool, and for this matchup specifically, I think this is going to be very, very exciting to watch. We've banned it down to Coastline between these two teams. They're going to battle it down in just one final map to decide who tops out this group after day 1.
Well, we had this at the very start of the day, I believe, and I forget who... I cast the damn game, and I can't remember the teams. I've cast that many today, but we did see Coastline at the start of the day, and it was a really engaging, exciting game. So I'm hoping here when I get a similar one come out of these two. Looking at the playstyles again, DWG KIA, they like to be aggressive. Rin especially really driving that playstyle forward. FURIA, they are happy to tango with the greatest. They will happily go toe-to-toe and take gunfights against you every day of the week. This could be really explosive, but what I'm enjoying about Coastline lately since the rework is it does feel a little bit more controlled. It's not super chaotic. There's not 10,000 deaths from the window, for example, or from the roof down in towards, say, luggage. it just feels a lot more composed for teams, and it has a much more natural flow to it. So to me, a fantastic map for those that are more fragging inclined without being too chaotic that it feels like Team Deathmatch rather than Rainbow Six Siege.
Let's mention the fact that we have pretty much all sites in play, at least inside North America right now. Teams are choosing to go all around it, so no sites are being left in reserve for the most part. Obviously, some teams might choose to leave one in the pocket just because there is that additional one, and if they don't feel totally comfortable on it, they can pass by it. But from what I've been seeing inside of my region, it seems to be pretty universal that teams feel comfortable to spread amongst all 4 sites and at least try them at some point during their defensive half.
I remember watching back some of your guys' games last week, actually, and looking at you play Chalet, and I was like, wait, they're going down to Wine? Like, in EU, you are basically cast out from being a European resident if you play down in Wine and Soberville. It's not allowed to be a thing. On Coastline, at least, so I agree with you. Penthouse and Theatre has risen in popularity since the changes came in. VIP now has that double reinforceable wall rather than a window that is very easily opened and is making it a much more defendable site. We have a couple of teams that play it really interestingly. You know, Heroic, who unfortunately have been relegated out of VUL, have a really cool strat where they essentially hunker down on 90 and just play through all the soft walls they possibly can to try and stop people getting inside of sites. So lots to look forward to there, and I do hope we get a good mix of sites.
Yeah, as you said, Theater specifically has seen a lot of extended...
Loud, let's go!
Might be able to hear our A stream leaking through, as I believe their game is just about to get started if it hasn't started already.
It's started, it's just warmed up. Listen to them, they love it.
We as well, folks, I think are just going to be a couple seconds away from getting started here. We do have all 10 players in the server, so it should just be a moment or two until our teams are ready as they're going through final preparations. And it is indeed time, ladies and gentlemen. Wait, hold on.
Production, you're having us on. You are having us on. That is absolutely not a real score. Surely it can't be. I mean, look, FURIA play well. They've beaten down SSG, a team that everyone thought would be the go-to kind of like banner wearers for the side of NA. I don't know. I don't think it's quite that far apart. You will see some rounds going the way of DWG KIA. I'm pretty sure FURIA aren't going to do a phase and find themselves 7-0 in this game. I think phase so far are what? 14-0?
14-0.
Haven't dropped a single round.
To be fair, that is against OXG, which has a bit of an asterisk mark on it, and against the Chiefs, which the Chiefs actually put up a pretty good fight against Rogue also in their group.
I thought you were about to say put up a pretty good fight against FaZe, and I was like, well, not.
Well, yeah. Unfortunately not. But yeah, at least a little bit more of a performance there. I'm curious to see how they do versus Rogue. By the way, we've got the bans going here. Dokkaebi is going to be an interesting one to be knocked out, along with Lion, so all the intel hops getting removed here on the attacking side.
I need to see a Jaeger ban now coming out of DWG KIA. They've banned it before. It's the kind of crazy stuff they throw in the mix just to make this game even more chaotic than it is already set to be. Those two, roamers galore, is all I can think of. Mira being banned away makes Penthouse Theatre a little bit harder to defend. You look towards, say, Kitchen and Service, and also not as defendable as otherwise it might be. That leaves FURIA down to bring in the last ban. I imagine you'll see something sensible. Maybe, I don't know, the Valkyrie might come through here. That's the sort of thing that we're looking at. Of course, in the reveal panel earlier on revealed there will be some changes coming in for that operator. Okay, maybe it's not that
maybe it's FURIA doing the Jaeger ban.
But it is FURIA banning it away. I like it because it just hinders players like Rin, who default to playing on the Jaeger whenever possible. It takes that strength pick away and might unsettle Rin a little bit more, or at the very least, temper the aggression that comes out of him.
FURIA don't seem to be too bothered by it, though, since it is their selection, so we'll see how they adjust, whether that's just going to be a quick switch over to a Wamai or an Aruni. Seems to be Wamai coming in first. There wouldn't be too surprised to see Aruni in combination with this as well, still very much heavily inside of the utility mitigation meta to some extent, so we still see both of those brought to the table quite often. It's going to be a double bar start here for FURIA as well. Quite a bit in terms of trap and slowdown capability being brought to the table as they want to try and force Damwon into a fight more than likely towards the pool door or the kitchen push, where they can use all this utility to finish them off and put them into a choke point, at the end of the round.
Absolutely. The Valkyrie being 6 picked in there away from the Mozzie as well. Mute Mozzie, a very potent combo. One that if you see it on your side, you know your round is going to be slow and painful. But the change away to the Valkyrie gives more of that instant information access over to the defenders. Not relying, of course, on catching a bunch of drones with those pests to be able to give you that same level of information. And in case you missed it, throughout the day, we do have 2 wonderful observers on site in Easy and Medics. Easy hunkering down on stream B, Medics over on stream A, and I believe as the tournament goes by, they are swapping over. But big shout out to them. We get a nice little break between our games. Those boys slugging away all day long.
All right, well, let's get into it and see what exactly FURIA is going to be bringing to the table. It's not going to be too surprising to see this extension of their defense going up to the second floor. Obviously, again, as you guys should know at this point, we have a site on the first floor. There's an area above it with destructible flooring on the floor above it. So you generally want to extend to defend that in most scenarios, just due to how easy of an access the attackers will have to angles, which could lead to players getting pushed out of positions in the site if you do not try to actively defend it. So once again, FURIA will, of course, extend up to this nice deployable shield going next to the hatch as well to allow for a safe retreat for the player that is going to play behind that. And trying to go for a spawn peek, but I don't think anyone from DWG KIA is players in the area, so won't be finding much in terms of early impact here.
Be a little bit late jumping in there as well to make sure that the panel was always within his sight line rather than being too low or too high. So just in case you're wondering why it was bouncing up and down like a yo-yo, there is your explanation. Forward side of DWG KIA, quite spread so far with 3 pushing up towards the north side. Bit of drone work being done. Rin's already up on the roof, for example, and you've got Yas pushing inside of Aqua. So all but the east side of the map currently being focused in their attacking point, but it's Rare to strike first with a rare kill onto Yas, it feels like. Not normally a player to be brought down so easily. Fantasy striking back, Katsang off the board, and already DWG KIA have been slaughtered in round number 1.
Every single time DWG KIA have tried to move into this building, they have been shut down. No one even coming close to a trade, with the only one that takes any significant amount of damage being Rare, would end around 60% or so of his overall health pool. Coded and Woogieman looking for some way to get into this building here now. Coded's going to take the smart approach, try to open up a couple more sight lines from the range and from that windowsill over there before he tries to push his way back in, just so his opponents won't have as easy of a time trying to take him out when he goes for this push. He does have the support from the Nomad air jab on the wall too, so on the door rather, so he knows he's not going to get pushed out from that position at a minimum, but still it's tough to move yourself forward here. More than likely waiting for Woogieman to get into a more advantageous position, as you can see him going towards the Aqua entry right there, so they can try to go for some type of a pinch to get upstairs control. Mind you, there's still about half the round remaining, so they had plenty of time to play with, but unfortunately Coded goes down, and that leaves Woogieman all alone in this harsh, cruel world where FURIA has 5 players still standing.
It's been one of those rounds where it's essentially been over since the 2-minute 10 mark, outside of one of the craziest clutches you would see all competition long. But Woogie in a 1 versus 5 and 60 seconds to play. This is not one of those rounds where someone comes out a hero, unfortunately. Bit of chip damage coming down on towards Miracle, but being down about 25 HP himself, Woogie is done and dusted. This is one of those rounds, it's like a knife round at the start of a friendly competition where it's like, hey, we're down 1-0, it's a write-off round, there isn't much to take away from it, except FURIA get the first one on the board. That's the only real outcome from there. I don't really feel we got any chance to see anything else around potentially team pushes, just a bunch of 1v1s being won by FURIA. That comes as no great surprise. They are a fantastic team with high gun skill.
Yeah, great aggressive play being weighted out across the map there for them as well. DWG just immediately losing all of their pushing force right from the get-go as soon as they try to move themselves in the building. And you're right, we never really even got to see what the general attacking strategy was because it fell apart so quickly. The 2 remaining players as well were more just fighting to try and take some sort of positioning to work off, as we were seeing there on the second floor. But even that, unfortunately, couldn't be achieved because FURIA fully activated the aggression once it had gone down to a 2v5. So great work by them on the defense, however. And of course, the world is going to continue to be theirs to play with if they are going to continue to succeed like that in terms of early round aggression.
What I quite like is that that's almost an off-site win as well, right? Blue Bar and Sunrise was the defensive round there, and they've won it without the site ever really being in consideration. So now you can rotate back into the 2 most popular sites. Luca and Billiards first, then stepping down into Kitchen in the next round. Now, Capcan. We have seen a lot of Capcan fun today, my God. Rogue getting 2 members down to a pairing, stacked on open area door on Bank, for example. A lot of chip damage coming down across the board. Just a lot of fun and hygiene. So this is really going to be a challenge to DWG KIA's consistency, is can you get the drone down and find out where there's one of those? Can you then hunt down the rest? Because I always used to say it about Capcan, even more so now, it's even more important. As soon as you see one, you know there's 4 more around the map, and the last thing you want in the dying 30 seconds of a round is you limbering around on 20, 30, 40 HP going, okay, got to focus on the gunfights here. Can't deal with the Capcans. Oh no! Walked into one. Suddenly you're dead, and the round is done and dusted. So caution is required. Discipline and structure in DWG KIA's attack is going to be essential.
Rossini's get positioned mainly over towards the areas that members of FURIA believe Damwon are going to try to take early control over here. And more than likely, FURIA is going to try to aggressively position against these players too. So if an awkward battle ensues, the chance the member of DWG KIA misses one of those Capcan charges that they try to pursue a member that may be retreating. That's 40 HP in the favor of FURIA now, and they can turn around and take those fights much more proficiently. So DWG KIA has to be very, very careful about the roam clear here, as that, I believe, is where most of the EDD pressure is being targeted towards.
A bit of caution being shown by Rare as well, doing the drone check inside of Sunrise. Last things he wants is to get naded out of there, to be blind sprayed through a window, you name it. Just wanted to be very, very careful. Took a shot there already by the looks of it. May have even been the nade above that came singing through. Has not yet found himself going anywhere near down, mind you, but is down to about 75 HP. Coated at least gets the bank account open for DWG KIA in the round. Miracle falling by the wayside. Dash into the streets. And a 5 versus 4 ensues with 2 minutes to play. They're feeling pretty good for DWG KIA and how things have started.
Things looking much more promising here for DWG KIA as they take a much more slower, much more measured approach to overall getting themselves into this building and try to playing for map control. Now, they don't have much near the site as of yet, but that's going to start to change over these next few moments as they start to gain VIP control, and as well are going to begin to shift players into an execute position closer towards the Hookah Dore with a look to gain that control. You could see Coded as well, I believe, on the rappel for Hookah, trying to deny any presence from the FURIA members that'll be positioned inside of there. But all this is still building up here as DWG still has plenty of time remaining there with over a minute to go still.
I assume they're going to look for an aqua push here as well. In fact, I think one has just got up onto the balcony on the south side, one's up on the window, there's still one watching Sunrise, there's one below in Sunrise still as well, actually. So it's not quite a fully formed attack yet. I'm not quite sure of the go-to game plan. Maybe Hookah's going to be their point of focus, given you've got Katsang and Woogie out this way. Or maybe it's just options coming through. Either way, a little bit scattered at the moment. That makes me a little bit nervous when I think about it. But you're looking towards the drone work coming out, and there's 3-4 drones then were just pushing their way in through Aqua. Indicates what the game plan's going to be. Deny any potential would-be C4s from below, get yourself set up for the site, execute, and then hit it hard.
Plant attempt started for a second there from Coded, so they were able to sneak in at least and tap it once or twice. Going to try to do the same thing now as they work their way in and go for the corner. Plant attempts to resist it are there. There's the Nitro. It's not going to work out though. Thrown way too deep into the site. While we will see a few exchanges go out, it's disadvantageous to Furious. They'll still be down a player here. Lenda now needs to aggress back out to Aqua, and this is going to be so tough to retake here. DWG has all the post-plant positioning they need, and with the failed Nitro cell failing to deny the plant, it's nearly impossible for Lenda and Highs to get themselves back into a retake position. They're going to try to move themselves out, but already you can see the counter pressure coming back in. Coded as well, catching Lenda, and then Rin finishes it off there. It's a triple on the round for Coded, and a much, much better play overall from DWG KIA.
We have a little saying over in APAC North. We say Coated is goated in the rounds when he does incredibly well, and that is one of them. 3 big kills, Plant going down as well. Beautiful stuff, even if in the mid-round we weren't exactly clear on what the game plan was supposed to be. But it gets them on the board. It's one apiece. DWG KIA, they came here to play and not roll over and die.
FURIA not going to feel too confident about a repeat on that site. I would generally agree, so they'll move right on down the list to their next site over here towards Penthouse and Theater. This is normally where we would definitely want to see Mira come into play, but obviously she's been banned out, so a little bit more innovative on the setup is where FURIA is going to need to go more than likely, a bit more reliance on that 90-degree hallway setup that we've seen a lot of other teams shift towards here in recent months.
When I think about Hookah Billiards, and you touched on it there as well, the failed C4 that came out, looking back at the game earlier on today, we saw a couple of attempted C4 denials come out on the same site into the same spot. One stuck to the kind of north side of the bomb, so it didn't get anywhere near. The one in that round went too far, and I think the other one got shot out that we saw earlier on today. But the one thing that was consistent across all 3 rounds is the defenders were relying on one single C4 to play for their denial. What happens if someone steps in and goes for the replant when there's a third person behind to hold the angle for them? It was just a little bit, I don't know, it was light on the ground for the defenders is how I can describe it, and teams just seem comfortable in taking that spot. So maybe in future we'll see teams kind of veer away from playing Hookah and Billiards so freely, and they'll go towards things like Kitchen, in towards Sunrise and Blue Bar, like we saw FURIA start on, and Hookah Billiards becomes the offside. I don't know. Just a little theory to put out there.
Well, the good news is this round there'll be no lack of Nitro cells, as literally every single player except for Miracle has brought one to the table, so almost an abundance of them there for FURIA this time, as they'll be trying to, I believe, throw quite a few of those from the inside of Theater to deny the push plants. Quite obviously, there won't be much of an active defense being mounted inside of the bedroom itself. That's a very, very tough area for defenders to actually maintain, except for that area behind the bed itself, so we'll continue to maintain their pressure onto Theater, and I believe the hallway as well. Didn't get to see the final moments of that setup, but pretty sure that's where most teams are going now. They're going to rotate to a company. Actually, yeah, pretty light over here, but we are going to see a couple players extended more so towards the Hookah Billiards side, maintaining positions there, with obviously one assisting from the inside of VIP with a double reinforced wall.
I think it's a really cute read coming out from DWG KIA as well, when Katsang bringing along the Thatcher that we haven't really seen be a staple at all on this map. They knew and read into this round being a penthouse theatre defense, knew there'd be a Kai coming in to try and keep this wall locked up. It's been mute jammered, it's been electrified by the electro claws. Everything that can be done to keep it closed right now is being done, and the Thatcher is going to step in and nullify all of that, John, and then they can focus on this wall being opened up. They can force the defenders out. That is when you then start saying, okay, they're isolated to 90, they're isolated into theatre. This should be easy for us to do, as long as we aren't losing members in silly places. We'll be dying here. One of those things that I look at and say, your flank watch has died, watching the flank this early on, not good.
Yeah, certainly not good, and obviously I'm going to assume that not all the air jabs would have been put out by that point by Woogieman as well, so that's a very much needed utility that's going to go away. Great trade here once again from Coded, who's really leading the charge for Damwon in the fragging department. Yes, of course, supporting closely behind as he gets a second on this round, knocking out Fantasy, and very quickly turning around that player disadvantage Damwon was facing a few seconds ago into their own favor.
We spoke about where this would then force FURIA to play. 90 and Theatre, that's exactly where they're holding. You've still got one top of Vars, who's, I think, expecting someone to come in from Hookah at some point. But this is one of those ones where you can simply watch for the cut if you want. There's a rotate sat there, get control of VIP, and this is absolutely free for you. There's not going to be much to worry about. And Rin, I guess is the problem when you're a little bit thin on the ground. Two of them coming in from the south side flank, some pushing it from the north. They could just pincer into two of these players, and the rest are essentially irrelevant. Rin up on the repel. Lender shutting down Yas is a big one because that removes most of that north side threat.
Rare also coming in to counter out the pressure on repel here by the main story window, but is Rare going to catch it? No, he's not. Rin gets a free pickup against the rotate over towards Luggage. Lenda also goes into a downstate here, so suddenly FURIA falls just down to Miracle to clutch this one out. He's held back, but he's not going to be able to deny the plan as a result of that. Lenda's finished off, and now Miracle truly alone. A great pump from the M590 to finish off Rin. Nearly catches a player leaping out the big window, but now he's going to go blind for a few seconds here. That gives Damwon KIA the relief they need to probably close this one out. Coded on the repel in the post plant. Has a perfect angle to deny the counter defuse if we even see Miracle get onto it at this point. And Katsan can rush in should the play fail there, as we see Miracle unfortunately run right into the crosshairs of this player on the balcony to secure the round for Damwon KIA.
I mean, being real there, he'd have to throw himself out of the double window to get the kill onto the player and repel, then get back inside the building, get back on site, kill the other player and get the disable off. That's one of those rounds you look at and just say, look, unless there is a massive slip-up by the attacking side, there's no way this one is going the way of the defenders. Damwon KIA after round one looked like a total whitewash and they had no way of getting back into it. At least this time round, and now pulled themselves ahead with 2 rounds on the bounce.
Right, moving forward, we'll go right around the site rotation once again here for FURIA. They're going to go back to blue bar, double bar sites here as they finally unlock that for play after the couple of rounds with them rotating towards these other sites. The first time they can go back to that, and this is where we had, oh wow, nice, quite a dominant stance for them back in the first round, but this time they're going to take a tactical pause before they go into it. Things are not going their way with only 2 rounds going towards Damwon, specifically with things falling apart in the late round here. FURIA wants to take that tactical to discuss how to fix things.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. You feel this is the time to take that call and have a conversation. You've done your full site rotation, you've lost 2 of them. You know very clearly there are things that need to be corrected. And that previous round, probably a good example, right? They got the opening kill and it was like, great, that's what you want. A 5 versus 4 and still getting control of VIP. And then they died to Coated for free from DJ. And it was like, okay, you know this is open, yet you've been killed over the top of a shield in your head very, very comfortably. You've then got Rin holding on the white window repel that they knew was a thing. It's almost like when they start losing control, FURIA are just taking 1v1s. They're pushing into members of Damwon KIA and saying, hey, you want to take a 1 versus 1? You take the 1v1. There's no trade play. There's no kind of response coming out. It's a stark contrast to what we saw against SSG when the team play was there from FURIA. So far, haven't seen it, and I'm hoping this tac pause does give them time to reset expectations and get that playstyle back on side.
Yeah, that aggressive playstyle is something we've come to expect from Latin American teams, specifically on this map with those more aggressively weighted swings, which to the members of FURIA's credit, worked out great inside of the first round as they completely shut down the attack before it gets started. The problem again is when they continue to follow through with that in the next 2 rounds, it is very clear that Damwon KIA has adjusted to not be affected by that as much here. FURIA is looking for a new way to possibly leverage that or is going to rotate away from it entirely. We shall see though as they commit themselves to this new setup going back to their original site.
We'll see what needs to change in this round as well. They'll get themselves 2 destroyed by Damwon in the early round. Again, this is one we saw back in round 1 that was a success for the side of FURIA. Things have then kind of fell by the wayside since then with Damwon KIA taking 2. And equally, we can't always take it away from Damwon KIA. Maybe the first round they were a little bit asleep. We saw it between Rogue and Oxygen earlier on. Oxygen went up 2-0. Rogue barely present in those first 2 rounds. And round 3 onwards, it kind of was the Rogue show. It could be a similar story here for Damwon KIA. If this round goes against FURIA, that's when I start to feel nervous about the way that this half could conclude.
Well, let's see how exactly it's going to go, as we've got a couple members from FURIA out and about, specifically over here, Office and Aqua, looking to possibly contest at those initial entry points should Damwon KIA move towards them so early. And it's looking like we might get that, at least from Yas. But Yas going to keep close watch on the big window here, as well as a couple other key points where he's expecting aggression to come from FURIA. That has been the name of the game in a lot of ways in the early round here that FURIA has tried to play. It's no different for this round. We can see that here over inside of the theater, as well as the master bedroom, from window. That even there, Fantasy still trying to challenge the repel work being done by DWG KIA, so Damwon's going to have to play this nice and slow yet again as they work their way to the building if they want to try and take this first kill.
Yeah. I like how FURIA at the very least aren't playing back and playing scared here just because they dropped a couple of rounds. Like, the best teams you will see at this major will be the ones that are happy to get out in the map and meet the attackers, waste their time, burn through drones, force utility out of them. All these things reduce your chances of winning the round little bit by little bit with every second that passes that you are impeded from completing the plan that you're coming into a round with. Either that or you sit all the way back and let them do what they want. That's not really the way to play the game. Even though a couple of teams do have success with it, it's absolutely not recommended. Rare going to be the first one potentially going down here, so not quite playing out the way they wanted. Just patience being shown by DWG KIA. Coated still inside a spawn essentially after about 1:20, and finally gets rewarded with his patience. Definitely gives some lean to good things come to those who wait.
Coated continuing to be the sniper that this team needs, and Yas just walking right into the site, tearing them apart here. Obviously not the actual site itself, but this hold up inside of Billiards gets torn to shreds. That was the extended play, and suddenly DWG is going to have everything up to them in terms of where they want to take the rest of this round towards. They have the top-down crunch. They're going to have the crunch working its way in from the pool door and those outside windows as well. So FURIA will not have a lot of real estate in the site to play with, and you can see that they know that already. Miracle's going to be the only one in the site and really the only safe place in the site behind the bar. The other two players will be playing towards off-site positions to retake.
What I call phantom pressure, right? You know that Coated could be out there, and if you expose it, he could kill you. So you play as if he's there regardless of whether he is or not. And Coated had dipped away and moved in towards pool entrance a long time ago. And for Yas, unimpeded by, Valcam being called out by Rare, between the Malusi Banshees that could have been there to impede him, just walks in, finds himself a huge 2K, and already gets this round off to a flying start. FURIA Punisher being out on the roam so aggressively. Another one coming the way of Yas without response coming in. Lender going down. 5 versus 2. That down one diesel train is starting to move, John, and I'm nervous if FURIA can keep up.
FURIA continuing to play this out with more and more aggression as well. We can see Highs moving in, but he's got a flank lined up against him, so he's already a dead player here as Woogieman takes him down. Rin as well finishes things off. I think that's, oh, never mind, it's not going to be Yas picking up the triple kill there. Had them and Rin confused, but either way, a triple on the round once again coming out from Yas. Between him and Coated right now, they are just shutting this down in most avenues.
And that was FURIA's tack pause. They took the time out to try and fix issues and have made far more for themselves.
Not a good
You
sign.
gave Yash time to get a bit of a massage there and just go, right then, boys, time to awaken the beast. Here we come. And my God, are they throwing some haymakers at FURIA. 3-1 on the attacking side. I will always give a lean, and I always stress that we must wait until the second half to see how FURIA fare on the attack. Some teams, Rogue again, the one that springs to mind, great attacking teams, awful when it comes to defending. They just can't do it as well as they can on the attacking side. They enjoy the kind of pace that they can dictate by being on the attacking side. FURIA right now look a bit frustrated. They're trying to make things happen when DWG KIA are playing passive, and equally DWG KIA go from being really passive and taking 75 seconds to actually make something happen, let FURIA make a small mistake, and then they go snap. Now the jaws of the bear trap snap shut, we spring on you, Yas gets a couple of kills, we'll swing you with Coated from DJ for example, and we win from there onwards. Really good seeing that volatile pacing of DWG KIA, keeping FURIA guessing and a little bit rattled as to what they need to do.
It's been another dangerous site for FURIA, but to be honest, most, if not all, the sites at this point are dangerous for them, as we saw DWG Gaming able to kind of tear apart the setup with relative ease here. Once again, early picks went their way. FURIA trying to challenge in multiple avenues, losing those players within the first minute or so of the round, making the defense very, very hard to pull off in the final moments of it, obviously allowing DWG to carefully analyze and tear apart those final few players without much effort needing to be brought into it. So let's see once again if they can repeat that same feat, specifically from Coated, as I think he was the star of that attack last time this site was played. Or, well, someone like Yas or even Rin is going to step in and be the hero this time.
This time around, no need for a Thatcher coming in either as well, right? I won't have any concerns about that being electrified out, so Kite on side. So again, another really good read coming through. They're not bothered about things being denied away. They're saying, let's just play straight into it. Mute Mozzie coming in for the side of FURIA does mean a good number of C4s are on side, 3 to be precise to play with, and a lot of intel denial. Hopefully trying to sort of impede DWG KIA and say, if you want the information, well, guess what? You're simply not going to have it here. You're going to have to play things a little bit slower and be a little bit more sure about all the moves that you want to make. Highs being peppered, drops down inside of office. No one's there to close and has support up towards the north side coming in from Rare. A good safe drop away, that they have conceded control of this top floor.
Nice. Lenda going to be able to negotiate a double kill from the inside of Luggage, using the window for it as well. Katsang will show up here and trade out against Miracle, but still.
They got sight.
are going to see the members of Damwon Gaming move in, take control of the site, but to what degree, though, is the question. It's not a great amount of control, as we're seeing as Fantasy moves in, trades out Katsang fairly quickly, and leaves only Coded in the fight anymore. And as well, Coded moving in, he's got a massive crossfire coming his way. There's no escaping that, as the members of FURIA come back with a vengeance suddenly here as we inch towards the end of the half.
Well, we spoke a lot about the mutant Mozzie at the very start of the round, about it denying away the intel game out of Damwon KIA. Apparently no drones there watching inside a luggage, and Lender picks up a double freebie coming up the top of White. Steps up to the single window, looking out towards the aqua balcony, and finds the biggest prize of them all. He has to start things off, leading into a second kill, and that round essentially felt pretty closed out from there. It's exactly at this moment, look, they just had no idea he was coming. Shot in the back of the head, both of them. Very little response to come through. Good stuff from FURIA. Gives them the second round. Now you want to push on for 3. At least take something away from this half. Otherwise, Damwon KIA going 4 and 2 into the second. Feeling pretty confident, I'm sure.
The aggression very, very well weighted there from FURIA, and this time not going to be noticed by Damwon KIA, as is deployed, as you were mentioning, by Lenda there. That's the big key difference that's made up here, is the members of Damwon have grown much, much better at catching those types of plays in most of the rounds, except for the first one that was won by FURIA. Finally, a change up there as FURIA figures out how to get the better of them with that new Mozzie combo, as well as the rest other forms of intel mitigation to allow them to finally negotiate a second round. And as we move into the 6th round, we're going to go to a new site for FURIA. They've not played this so far in the half. We're going to Kitchen and Service for this final round to see if they can tie it up at 3-3.
Yeah, I'm looking at the lineup as well. They very clearly thought they were going into a penthouse theatre defense here, assuming the same response. They've got no Buck, they've got no Sledge.
There was a Cade initially on FURIA's lineup.
Yes.
That's why they 6-picked that away.
And they also 6-picked the Buck into a Thatcher again as soon as he was going upstairs. So this is a good play by FURIA to kind of bait and switch him at the end. It's always kind of baffled me why most teams will just stick to the same 3-side rotation and not try and play a spread of the 4 and just keep the other side guessing, especially on a map like Coastline where you can do it. So fair props to FURIA. They baited Damwon KIA out now. They're going to be lacking that vertical destruction outside of a few breaching charges coming along on the Thatcher. That should make this a little bit more comfortable for the side of FURIA to defend when they're on site. Maybe we don't even see a retake become a thing in this round. They can afford to just sit inside a kitchen and say, hey, come at us, not a problem.
It's a really great way to throw your opponents off into these types of mispicks by going over towards a new site for the 6th round. I will admit it's a bit of a risk because you don't necessarily know if your opponent's going to have a winning strat, but so far it's worked out in the way that they force mispicks on the operator side of things out of Damwon. Going to come close to the first engagement here. Rin is lined up for it, just needs to see Lenda move into his quarters of the map, but neither player seems to want to take that step forward. Seems like it's definitely going to be Lenda if it's anyone right now. But Lenda as well knows there's a player on the other side of that at office, so he as well is a little bit hesitant to move forward and try to take that duel. Finally, Rin goes for it, however, but now Lenda will back away, tries to go out to the cross one more time, but I think he's going to ultimately give up this position and allow Rin to move forward.
The thing is, he can keep poking his head back unless they get a really passive drone here to watch him once he pushes up into office, right? They have one already sat inside of the wardrobe or the cabinet off to the left inside of office that watched him down, but he took it out. That's sort of what prompted Rin to have to hold the angle and eventually push it out of fear of wasting too much time. So now you're looking at it in a spot and saying, okay, you've got the control you need of the west side. You can start looking at kitchen, but that pressure is going to be quite light. Fantasy trying a run out, and Coated is goated. My God, is he stepping up today? 6 and 2 in this map.
Specifically from any sort of long-range angle, this player is dominating most of his gunfights. We're seeing those spawn picks as well with the big window at the billiards a couple rounds ago. Really, really good stuff coming up.
Still fighting these two, my God. This has been going on since round start. Rin desperate to force Lender away, but can't quite seem to confirm it. Miracle dangerously low. Out comes the first smoke canister, and Katsang is in, going for a plan. So we've got these two lovebirds scrapping on the south side. Elsewhere, there's a full-on execute coming through. Plan is down. Lender down to a slither of HP. Coated is goated indeed. A double kill in the round. Lender with another off of a C4. A 4 versus 3, making a 3 versus 3. 2 C4s coming through in quick succession. 30 seconds to play with John here. And Damwon KIA in the driving seat.
Still another nitro cell to be used here by FURIA as well, so they can bring that in, but never mind. It's just lost as Woogieman gets the kill against Highs. That's also sending the kill advantage back into the favor of Damwon KIA once again, with Yas getting another one to nearly seal the deal. Lenda's all that's left. Doesn't even catch Rin behind the blue bar as well. So it's a solid round picked up from Damwon KIA at the end of the half to solidify a lead for them as they move forward into the second half.
I don't feel like FURIA really had enough bite in that round, or a couple of those rounds, to be fair. Like, we know that they're a team that can play this disruptive play style, but Lender kind of poking at a drone or two isn't really enough. They tried this run out that was very blind. What they forget with plays like this is Damwon KIA are from APAC North. For those of you who may not have seen the clip, and probably last year I think it was tweeted, Mag tweeted out a clip from a scrim with permission, of course. I think it was against Cyclops. They were on Clubhouse, and he just rappelled on top of Strip. within 20 seconds, 4 players jumped out of windows. The bedroom window, the gym window, CC window, and construction window. And they were just going for spawn peaks galore. These players are forged in spawn peak territory or run out territory or this kind of crazy aggressive playstyle. You are going to really struggle to surprise down one Kia, but where I think you can really excel is by hitting them on the flank. Think about the one that came through luggage, for example, and got the 2K onto the aqua balcony. That is where you can thrive against them. Playing this early aggression, I'm not convinced it's going to be the one. You've got to go harder, but you've got to do it at the right moment in the round, not at times they're used to.
So let's see now if FURIA is going to have any capability to bounce back with such a strong lead built up for Dam 1 coming off of their attack. Already 2-round deficit for FURIA here, and only 3 rounds overall needed for Dam 1 to push themselves into a winning position for this map. First round is going to decide the pacing quite a bit about how this will continue to go. We've got that very annoying setup with the bulletproof camera there, supported by an early laser gate as well, so that means Dam 1 is going to have a massive feed of intel that is nearly impossible to get rid of unless FURIA wants to commit a large amount of their own utility to getting rid of that. To be fair, they do have Lendo on the Ash, so it's actually probably pretty possible they can try and knock that out, but we'll see as we get closer to the site execute.
Absolutely, yeah. They can burn through some flashbangs to get rid of the laser gates if so decided, and then look towards the bulletproof, but they ignore it for the most part. Obviously, you can't side shoot it because it is kind of dug in to the soft side of the reinforcement, makes it hard to deal with. It does need to be taken out by an explosive, but they have got a lot on side. Also looking, of course, let's not forget towards the Flores, an operator that players like Alems on BDS said is arguably the strongest operator in the game right now, but not enough people are playing it. It's kind of settled into a niche, but the fact that it has 4 Roteros to play behind is just ludicrous.
Yeah,
you can destroy so much all in one go. On maps like Villa, you tend to see it getting brought out, but before that even gets a chance to get into effect, FURIA are finding themselves a couple of kills. They did find one back onto Fantasy. Not bad. You remove the frag, you remove the heals coming out of the Finker in this case, but in response, you've lost 2. You've lost the C4, I believe, as well on the Malusi. Not the greatest start.
So much aggression coming in here now from the members of FURIA to just instantly crunch on anyone from Dam 1 that they're able to catch, but it's not solidified just as of yet here. Katsang most recently finding an exchange for his own team to even out the numbers once again into a 3v3. Rain as well, still close to enemy territory. We'll have to be careful about how he plays his own positioning. Even moving upstairs won't give him safe harbor right now because there is another player nearby. We can see them on the roof. I don't believe there's any way for this player to jump down as the hatch may have not been opened as of yet, and Miracle is apparently worried about other things anyway, as he's keeping an eye on luggage across the map.
That was kind of like a 50-50 gamble. Which way is he going to rotate back to site? It wasn't the way that you were watching. Instead went up to 90 rather than... And I think, to be fair, you would assume most players would avoid 90, assuming the attackers are taking control of Penthouse and Theatre in the early round as their sort of staging round to get into the map. But no, they were still on the roof, meaning he gets free passage and can now, quite freely, if he so chooses, play up and down around 90 without fear or consequence. Coated the one holding close. Must know there's a man just outside the window. If he sprays through the frame, he might find his head. What a shot onto Rare. 3 versus 2 for Dam 1 Kia. 50 seconds to play with the FURIA. This could go from bad to worse, John.
Now, Lenda and Miracle trying to group up to make some type of pinch into the site here. Lenda as well will deal with the Banshee sitting on site that enables his own capability to swing in, but you still have the Toxic Babes to deal with. The good news is there's only 2 of them, so there will be about a 20-second period where they have the capability to make this play. But unfortunately, unless they want to try and force the issue through those, they are stuck here inside of Aqua until that timer fades away. Lenda's just going to open up the other reinforcements that are positioned across the sites that they can hopefully try to catch a pick against one of the members of Dam 1 if they are going to be caught rotating here. That second as well, Toxic Babe only just now going out, and Coded sniping another member of FURIA out of the round. Lenda, the only one left, and I think Coded wants this one as well, but Rin's going to steal it with a nice dash right out into the hallway there to seal the deal and give Dam 1 Kia their 5th round.
Comfortable close. Again, not forgetting FURIA found themselves 2 kills in the early round, and you thought, hey, 4 versus 3. Surely they can press on. But Dam 1 Kia, they dig deep. They play things out well. Again, for FURIA, I think maybe a little bit lost at points there with, I think it was Miracle on the Habana, trying to get the single wall in towards Hookah opened up, only to remember, oh, there's a smoke player sat in bar that could just very comfortably remove this, and we're not doing anything to react. There's no one pushing up 90, for example, and using that as the indicator that now is the time to push. It just felt a little bit disconnected, and FURIA not as teamly as they were earlier on in the day. Maybe it's the map, maybe it's the symptom of Coastline, but this is a shadow of what we've seen from FURIA on this map before. I think back again to Mexico, the 8-7 game they had against SSG on this map. it's a night and day performance compared to what we saw back then. Maybe it's the unpredictability of a team like Damwon Kia that's getting in their heads.
At the same time, this is legitimizing the dominance we saw from Damwon Kia in their match versus Empire earlier, proving that that was certainly no fluke here, that they're able to pull off something very similar so far, at least, against FURIA as well. The power that we're seeing out of Damwon Kia is truly something to behold, and we may be very well looking at the build-up towards a real contender to go far inside of the playoffs if they continue to perform like this on days 2 and 3 as well. They also, no fancy work on the sites, just going for kind of the predicted ones here. Start this off with Hookah Billiards, go right down to Kitchen and Service. That's pretty much the meta picks here, so they are not throwing FURIA any surprises in that department. And you could say something very similar as well for the most part when it comes to operator picks, but of course the Oryx is going to make things a bit more interesting in this round for Damwon Kia.
It's been a very interesting year for APAC, hasn't it, when you think about it? Like back in Mexico, Cyclops and Damwon Kia surprising a lot of teams and, you know, causing a couple of upsets. We had arguably the best entry record coming out of Cloud9, now known as Sandbox, back at SI. They've had a good year in terms of performances, just not quite pushed into the top 4. And for the longest time, it's been, APAC's an aggressive region, it's on an island, it's not going to be able to catch up with other regions for a while yet. You're seeing the seeds this year, and I'm getting very excited about what 2022 could look like for a number of APAC teams if this level and this quality of performance continues to be delivered.
At the same time, the other regions as well have been getting a little bit worried. It's like, okay, now we really need to step things up for these international competitions. Is moving our way through the groups is not as easy as it was a year or two, even 3 years ago here now, as APAC and certainly Latin America, of course, as we've seen over the past 2 majors, has truly become real contender regions on par, even above some of the more well-known regions in North America and Europe. Coded continuing to dominate again here. Katsang with a second. Katsang will be exchanged, and so will Rin, though, as Lenda finds that very nice pixel shot against Rin to eliminate him and quickly even out the numbers.
It's just timing on the shots again, though, right? Someone's peeking in from the bathroom hatch at the same time. The player that was pushing into VIP wasn't even inside a Hall of Fame yet. And it's like, guys, if you wait a couple of seconds and peek at the same time, you get a guaranteed trade. Now, fortunately for them, they do get the 2 kills back, but this could have very easily been a 4 versus 3 right now for Damwon Kia. It's good that FURIA have found the kills, but small mistiming issues, and again, the teamship that we saw in their game earlier on today just isn't as strong as what it was.
Also important to note, in terms of utility lost from the players that ended up going down there, FURIA loses that fight far more, but that's going to change now with Woogieman's elimination. Not so much the case anymore, as FURIA will have full rights to execute out onto the site at this point. They still have their hard breach to open up any hatches they might need to, as I see at least one was reinforced there. Yas is obviously not going to be able to contribute too much here, although he can do some more tricky work with the hatches, but more than likely at this point, now that it's down to a 2v3, it'll be difficult to pull that off. Also, he's very low HP, so aggressive moves are not really going to work out for him anyway, and he's lost his only other teammate now as Coded goes down close to the sites. This will be a desperate effort for him to try and clutch out the 1v3. Certainly not impossible, but I don't believe his position is that well. No, never mind. It's very well known, as Miracle shuts it down very quickly and gives the round over to FURIA.
Barely even had a chance to look at Kitchen before losing his life there. Yep, a good round coming out from FURIA, but it reminded me of a couple of rounds from their game against SSG earlier on today, where it just came down to strong-arming SSG in the gunfights, despite it not looking the cleanest in terms of execution. At the end of the day, all anyone will remember is the score at the top of your screen. 5-3 to Damwon Kia. FURIA now starting to find a way back in. It's still a tall mountain to climb. One more round for Damwon Kia, and it's overtime at the very least. And if I remember rightly, it's Damwon Kia on 3 points in this group, and FURIA are on 2. This goes through to overtime, sure. FURIA have got the head-to-head. If they go on to win, these 2 teams will be tied in first place. And that's when they start looking at the mercy and the whims of what's going on in the other game on the A stream.
Absolutely the case. Let's go ahead and take a look here. Damwon Kia going to need to make some improvements, specifically to their off-site plays. That's where they lost the plot in the early round against FURIA, with so many kills being exchanged out, even within just the first minute or so of the round here. More than likely not going to struggle with that on this round, though, unless they try to take up very aggressive positions early on yet again, because they've gone towards the theater site. It's usually a bit more of a bunkerish setup for the defenders there that the attackers have no choice but to throw themselves at. I think once again, we'll be getting that here with big emphasis going on to the defense inside of VIP. No ability to double reinforce the walls or electrocute them, however, so it will be a fairly easy task for the attackers to pop that one open and push any presence outside of this room.
It forces you to commit some hard breach utility into getting the wall open, right? It's less that you can then commit to other areas of the site. This site may be arguably one that you don't need an absolute ton of to get open. Once you've got control of VIP, it's not all bad. Rin, looking to be a little bit cheeky. I've died to this spawn peak more times than I care to admit in ranked, and just know that I never run through the pool ever again. And equally, it looks like FURIA buying into the same idea. Forget that noise. Last thing you want in a crucial round like this is to get cheesed off the face of the earth.
Yeah, they're going to stay far away from that and take much safer passes towards this building as they do shift themselves into position. Quite a few of them already working their way in. We've got one player crawling their way in, being very cautious of this hatchwork upstairs inside of Hookah, and for good reason, because there is an extended presence set up there from DWG KIA. That's why Fantasy continues to prone his way forward in hopes of maybe catching that player on just a chance check. By the way, Lenda also moving in, is taking full control of Kitchen, so pretty good amount of the first floor already going over towards FURIA. They'll use this soon more than likely to transition up Cool Vibes and start putting pressure on that Hookah hold and eventually the VIP area and the site next to it.
I'm curious where all 4 of these castle barricades have gone down. I saw the Coasted had one in back pocket for the longest time. There was one between sites, so between Theatre and Penthouse. That one I spotted out. The other ones, not fully sure of. Can you spot them before Easy does? There's one on the white window. Okay, he wins that one. 1-0, John. You're losing. Keep up. Where are the other ones?
I'm trying to see them. See, the problem is Easy can turn the camera. I can't, so he's got an advantage on me here.
Oh, you spin at the same time. Do you see what he sees?
Yeah, but if he sees it first, then he wins, though. So.
Yeah, so you got to just see it as he spins.
Yeah.
Be quick.
He can't call it out, to be fair, so I make up those rules. As we get down to the final half of the round, though, once again, FURIA is taking their jolly old time, taking any semblance of map control upstairs. We talked about it a minute or so ago. They had no problem taking it on the first floor. It's because, for the most part, DWG is not going to contest anything from down there. It's upstairs here towards the Hookah Billiards, and of course closer to the site where the battle is going to be much more intense. As Rin is looking for the first capability to fight back here against DWG as he tries to open up the wall near the site.
Worth mentioning, of course, those castle barricades are now only 9 punch holes until they open, which is why you've got 8 punches lovely laid out in like a dot formation on this door between sites. Very easy to break out if required at a moment's notice. And they've backed it up akin to what we see on maps like Cafe when holding down inside a cigar shop. You've got the laser gates and the castle barricades together. That's a lot of utility for FURIA to chew through if they want to make this man sat inside a theatre feel uncomfortable. Miracle has escaped death twice. It is quite literally a miracle at this point. Twice he's been gunned down by the man inside a theatre, yet still he stands. In they come for the plant. He's in behind the bomb chassis. I open it, breaks, and then comes the C4. The laser gate, though, might have caught it out in just a second, but the the smoke canister goes through, finds him down. Woogie also on the deck, and they get the spray down onto the Iana. Rin doing a lot of work. It's a 4 versus 1. Not quite able to shut highs out of this one entirely, but with 15 seconds to play with and 3 still left alive, it's a bit too much work. DWG KIA take a critical round, and they are 1 round away from beating FURIA and taking all 3 points.
FURIA, unfortunately, is able to put no pressure whatsoever on that theater hold, as well as quite a few other members still off the site, still maintaining solid positions, so it's a very quick amount of work. They're coming in from DWG KIA to fend off that plan attempt, and once that first one fails, it's just a tough ask for FURIA at that point with the case on the ground in such a critical position there. You have to try to get a player back to that position, pick it up, and as we saw, that first one was attempted at fairly low time with only about 25 seconds remaining on the clock there, so FURIA unfortunately leaving themselves in a bad situation with no way to get out of that, and the DWG players in sight, specifically Rin, doing great work there to make sure the push is not successful.
I can hear a lot going on.
Yeah, we have another game going on our Alpha stream, by the way, folks, if you're interested. Sounds like stuff's getting interesting as well, so.
It's getting pretty saucy. I'm watching here to see what the score is because there's a really interesting story now developing in this group, right? Everyone kind of said in this group, SSG are going to walk away as the winners. They come out first, and then it's a fight between the other 3 teams as to who takes second place. If Empire were to go on to beat SSG, for example, DWG KIA first place for 2 wins. FURIA, after beating SSG, would be sat in second or third. If Empire were then maybe sat in second or third fighting with them, SSG after day 1 would be bottom of the group. That would be insane. And I can see the tear rolling down your cheek. I understand. As an NA shill, it's a very painful process, John. But believe me, we've all got to go through it.
I'm a diplomat, though. I'm willing to root for other regions if it's prudent.
All right, so DWG KIA.
Like, I'm a fan of DWG KIA, to be honest. They've made me a real fan of them, both over Mexico, and they're continuing to perform here. That's been the problem with a lot of APAC teams. We see them at one major, but then they kind of taper off for a while, and we maybe see them 6 months later.
And then you get some new team with a name that you don't.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, someone new here. As FURIA is going to start this one off well, catching Rin in a more aggressive style of play. But yeah, DWG playing here with these past 2 majors, it seems like they're here to stay for a long time. And with such a flashy style of play they bring to the table. They made a real fan out of me, and I hope we continue to see them for years to come.
They infuriated me in Mexico because I was like, man, everyone's talking about DWG KIA, but Cyclops are better at the minute. Why is everyone celebrating them? And I was like, they're coming into Sweden. There's no way they'll play as good. You won't see the same DWG KIA. And here they are after day one, nearly 2-0. Honestly, I'm just going to stop talking about teams at this point, it feels like. Next thing you know, I'll be wrong about every prediction going, and it's going to be a miserable time being me.
It'll make your job a bit hard.
That makes my job very, very hard. Hey, Pengu's stepping up. Maybe he can take it off me.
We're going to see Wookieman probably get the brunt of the initial pressure coming in from FURIA. Of course, Rin got quite a bit of that earlier, but now Wookieman and really everyone on the side of DWG KIA looking to try and turn this back around through bouts of aggression, which is interesting enough to see here.
Shoot the drone.
Yeah, that drone's going to sneak past, giving a good amount of intel out on both Wookieman and at least two other members of DWG's position here. It's still alive as well.
No.
Snuck right past all of them somehow, so they get a full info feed. They actually more than likely know that the inside defenses for Sunrise are going to be relatively weak right now.
God.
It's the hold upstairs is the only reason why they won't push in. Coded tries to go full aggression out the doorway, but is caught immediately by Rare as he gets a second and now a third with a beautiful headshot lined up against Wookieman. It's all up to Yas now, although he gets a good headshot as well, but he's got a long, long road to recovery here in this round.
Ridiculously long, yeah. I mean, there's no real help coming in from the team at this point as well. Everyone's dead. Plant is going down, won't be able to get in to stop Miracle in time, I don't imagine. He's sat on the doorway there, tries to go for the spray, but wrong side, unfortunately. Rare with a shutdown. A 4K in the round. Big coming in from FURIA. A bigger round, especially for Rare. And the fight is on. It's still 6-4, mind you.
Semblance of hope at the minimum for FURIA. 2 more rounds, however, still need to be picked up as we're mentioning the scoreboard there. DWG winning either one of them means this game is over, and FURIA will get 0 points for this matchup. But if FURIA can run the gauntlet up to 6, they still have the chance to win it in OT for 2 points, and even a loss at that point would still net them 1 to keep them competitive inside of this group, and as well, disallow DWG to truly run away with the scoreboard at this point after day 1.
I'll give FURIA some credit as well. They dealt with 2 really aggressive jump out / run out plays coming in from DWG KIA. Beautiful stuff that gives them the round. Hookah and Billy is going to be where we step into next. DWG KIA, 6 picking in the Valkyrie. They're trying the jump outs with or without information is the way I look at this. So I'd hope they're going to commit those to being on the inside. That will help them deal with the pushes coming in from FURIA. And I know what we said earlier on about, DWG KIA kind of forged in chaos. It's the APAC playstyle. They've been used to it now for a long time. Maybe a little bit of composure wouldn't help. They've tried jump outs a couple of times in the last few rounds and they really haven't gone their way. FURIA have just had their number.
The other thing, too, is so far inside of this half, we've seen alternating wins come back and forth and back and forth. DWG as well able to rotate back over here towards Hookah Billiards, where they had not too much of an issue shutting this one down, so FURIA has to be a little bit worried. The good news is, of course, it's a familiar sight in terms of playstyle for them, so they'll have that opportunity to rebound and adjust their own playstyle after what they saw earlier. Specifically, wanting to try and get a grasp on the roam game pretty easily here as they bring the Jackal into play to try and handle that. And, of course, the Finka still being in the mix here, too. Rin, though, just need to readjust this camera real quick for a better POV.
Yeah, that one there. Kind of sat in behind the bottle like, that's great. Top corner, chuck it up. It's dark up there anyway. There's
got no time left.
They'll be able to see it, absolutely. Now they'll crack on with things as they are. Still got the 2 back guys in back pocket, mind you, so they likely aren't going outside the building. Just being committed on the inside. One there's going inside the little fake coral reef that's inside of Aqua. And the last one, this one is going to go outside, albeit a little bit late.
Rin's going to continue to hold positioning inside of the site. Just gets the chuck out there of the camera over towards the ruins. Not really going to find any useful information, unfortunately, but that might change over the next few moments as that Jackal more than likely going to be in the visibility range of it, if not just outside of it. Should still be able to track it down from the tracers where he's going to be playing from. But we're not really in an aggressive position right now. Still going to be focused on the repels at this point and trying to maintain a spot just outside of Hookah while the rest of his teammates build up towards this position as well.
I swear Lenda back at Mexico played a lot of Twitch, and if you ask any of the EU talent, I'm a massive Twitch shill. I think since she's had the changes come in, she's now got 3 drones. Her drones now have the unlimited range on the laser beam. Instead of that piddly bit of string, the run out comes through. Woogie strikes big, and I said maybe they pull back on that aggression. But why would you, when you can net such a critical kill onto Rare?
Yeah, that had to be something that DWG was able to figure out for themselves. Wookieman, though, going to get challenged again as Lenda moves into kitchen here, nearly losing his life as he goes down to about 50 HP. Lenda as well, ready for the re-engagement, is going to actually turn that fight back around and take down Wookieman as he survives with just a sliver of HP at the end of it.
Juice me up, Fantasy. Surely is screaming for a bit of a boost. My God, he's going to need it. It'll take a few cycles. It's one of the reasons why the Thinker is so powerful. You tend not to use it in the middle of an engagement because the recoil reduction or recoil change really affects pro players in the way they're pulled down in muscle memory. So really you want to use it for juicing players up. Fantasy, not yet with that idea though, just leaving Lender on 1 HP. You can blow on him and he'll fall over at this point, John. It makes me nervous.
London taking a second out of the fight, though, I think, to focus on drone duties might explain why they would have delayed giving him the boost. If they're getting close to an execute point, as you can see over here towards Aqua, they want to try and chain all three of those together as soon as the cooldown goes off. That might be the intention, but to be fair, I'm not even sure if they're going to get a chance to use all three of them at this point, seeing as we've only got 45 seconds left on the clock. Yas is ready for the next challenge here, and as well, the Toxic Babes are going to start rolling out over towards Aqua here. That denies the push from Fantasy. Cannot move through this now as he has to wait this one out. Additional Toxic Babes being thrown out as there is additional pressure working its way in from VIP, so they have to watch out for this. Fantasy going to try to open up a new angle to make this a little bit easier, but it's just not panning out. Yas will go down, but Coded's already exchanged out onto Lenda, so it's just the Aqua push. That's all that's left, and they only have 20 seconds remaining to make this happen.
Marcella C4 on side as well. Cota's got it in back pocket if required. 15 seconds. It's do or die right now. Furia. Another juice comes out. Rin lands a shot. It's a double shutdown for Rin. Down one Kia with 2 victories on their first day of the Sweden Major. What a way to show up in this group.
M1 Gaming, very impressive stuff, topping out their group with absolutely no issues at all. Look at them, thumbs up all around. We're feeling good about ourselves right now, and why shouldn't we with a victory like that? Excellent, excellent work coming out from the members of Damwon Gaming Kia. Coded leading the charge, the sniper on the attack, and the hero on the defense at 12-5, with many other players being relatively close to that scoreline as well.
It's great to see because Coded has been quiet. When we first saw Damwon Kia come into APAC North, that Coated is goaded thing became a thing because he was such a stalwart playing the TCSG an awful lot, fell off a lot in Stage 2, wasn't really present in Stage 3 to be honest with you, but to have a performance like that, miraculous. Really proud of Damwon Kia, super excited to see how they face off against other teams over the coming days.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll break this down and round out day number 1 here on the Bravo stream.
What does it take to create the future of a gaming community? Join us on this 4th episode of I Call Next as we discover how to level up gameplay and reset the expectations of an entire league. PayPal, press play.
Easy going right there. One more to go.
Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen. We just saw that riveting matchup there. Damwon Gaming Kia able to take down FURIA with ease once again. Another dominant scoreline going into their favor. The rounds, of course, very close from time to time, but ultimately the match going fairly heavily into Damwon's favor, especially when it came to the aggression control and overall playstyle there. Excellent stuff coming out from them, and now they top out this group and top out the day, at least for me.
Just playing confident, right? And even sometimes when rounds aren't going their way, they're coming into the next one saying, right, back on it again, we go at 100%. We don't drop off, which feels like I said back in the first half of FURIA. We saw that a few times. The team play wasn't quite there at points, missed timings a little bit. You'd have Lender kind of lurking around, security not actually looking to push and do anything too aggressive, just pick off the odd drone. And it felt a bit disconnected to the FURIA that we all know and love and that we saw play on Cafe earlier today. And while teams are kind of doing this sort of roller coaster up and down in terms of consistency and performance, DWG KIA today have just been lights out all the way through, saying, right, 110% every single round, we give it our all, and it's working out wonderfully for them.
And so now only one challenger stands in DWG KIA's way as this group is concerned, and that's going to be Space Station Gaming. Quick reminder, folks, by the way, over on our main stream, that match between Space Station Gaming as well as Empire is still going on. And no spoilers, I'm not going to say the scoreline, but as well, it is a very, very close game between those two teams. So make sure you head over and check that out as well if you're interested in seeing the tail.
Are you not the spoiler type?
What's up?
You're not the spoiler
No, I don't like, people don't like spoilers.
Okay. You're too sensitive.
Apparently, it just ended.
He's on the spoiler wagon now, boys and girls.
We're going to have a result in a few seconds here.
Which, I mean, look, so you guys are watching us on a 3-minute replay. I've got it in front of me on another 3-minute replay, and you'll hear it from me in a 3-minute replay. So this might be a bit behind in terms of information. You'll feel like we're talking about something that was last year. But from what I understand, SSU will be the ones that walk away with a 7-5 victory. They do get a critical 3 points. They sit around that second or third mark. It just means that down 1 versus SSU tomorrow. Woo! Going to be saucy.
Absolutely the case. This group is continuing to fight itself close, and it's really the battle again. We've got 2 Titans and 2 underdogs trying to claim these spots, and it's the underdogs in a lot of ways that are coming out on top, specifically DWG Gaming KIA. Some of the Titans failing here, as we've seen today. Empire specifically having a really rough go of it, but that's not entirely off-brand for Empire, I would say. There's a lot of people that have talked about it. We've seen Empire have slow starts at majors before, so it's really about how day 2 and day 3 go for me, about how we're going to see Empire move forward.
Empire remind me a lot of NIP. They're a LAN team, right? Online, they can look shaky, they can finish top 4 and obviously make it to a major, but it's never the lights-out performance like what we saw back in the group stages of SI, for example, right? Like joystick drop-in, 14 kills average per map in all of group stage was unbelievable.